Today I'm going to show you a setup on the Litecoin versus Bitcoin chart. We'll talk about where to find it, how to trade it, etc. Hi, this is Tim from TradingStrategyGuides.com. Why, yes, you can trade one cryptocurrency against another. Why would you do that? I'm going to tell you about that shortly. First, we'll look at open trades and the factoid of the day. Later on, we'll take a look at the trading maxim for today. I've got my coffee. You go get some and settle in with me for a few minutes. Remember to click that subscribe button and hit the bell so you don't miss any of these great trainings. All right, let's talk about the open trades. Now, the S&P 500 came up here, didn't hit our target on Friday, and it appeared to be struggling last night near the target. So I mentioned on Twitter that I took off half of the trade at $2 shy of the target, right at 30.68. I set the stop on the remainder to break even. So I was a bit premature as it hit the target a few hours later, and now of course it's 12 bucks above the target. No problem. I just hate sitting here and watching the price get that close to the target and then drop and stop out. Yes, that has happened to me on more than one occasion. It's really not a big deal if it happens when I'm not sitting here watching it, but for some reason I find it's a big deal if I'm watching it. I know I appear so calm and composed when I trade, but I guess I'm just human. I'm usually better off just not watching this stuff while it happens. As I anticipated on Friday's video, AMD closed above the range right here. Since the volume exceeded the volume average, I bought a full-size position at 34.89 with a stop loss of 33.32 and a first target of 35.94. Market hasn't opened yet this morning, so we'll see how it goes. If I get a close back inside the range at any point before it hits the target, I will shut this trade down. Friday, the E-mini Russell 2000 closed above the range, just a couple of dollars above the range. This is something we identified back in mid-August. So I've gone long at 1590.3. Our first target is 1613. It's headed more than halfway up there at this point. Stop loss 1555.5. Used full size position because we got better than average volume. And remember, just like AMD, we will close this trade if we get a candle close back down here inside the range before our target is hit. The E-mini Dow Jones has broken above the range today. Just wanted to give you a heads up on this one. Not in this trade yet until we get a close of this candle right here above 27,365 to go long. All right, let's take a look at the factoid of the day. Friday's factoid was about Amazon's adding to its empire. Today we'll talk about Google branching out into newish markets. Yes, Google is dropping $2.1 billion on the fitness tracking hardware company Fitbit. If you're unfamiliar with Fitbit, they produce a line of smartwatches that track your steps, heart rate, and other physical attributes and communicate the data to your phone as well as doing some phone control functions. I guess just like Amazon, Google wants to rule the world. This is one of a few hardware companies that Google has recently gobbled up. I suspect this time they're wanting to compete with the Apple Watch. Fitbit has sold over 100 million devices since 2007 and boasts over 27 million active users. But Apple owns 38% of the wearable device market, with Fitbit in second place at 24.1% market share. Of course, there are quite a few antitrust concerns here. Since we seem to trust Fitbit with all sorts of intimate health info, like heart rate, sleep habits, and even menstrual cycles, will we trust Google with that stuff? Oh, and just so you know, Facebook was courting Fitbit just before Google swooped in with an offer twice the size. I guess we know what's important now. Let me know in the comments below if you use a fitness tracker or a smartwatch and which one you use. Hat tip to the Morning Brew for this news nugget. I'll put all the links below. All right, let's take a look at the Litecoin Bitcoin trade setup. Today we're going to look at the daily chart of Litecoin plotted against Bitcoin. The symbol is simply LTC BTC, and I'm trading this market at Binance, B-I-N-A-N-C-E. You can find the chart on TradingView, which, as you may have figured out, is my go-to charting platform. You may be asking why I would trade one crypto against another. My main reason is that the cryptos tend to follow each other. If Bitcoin pops, there's usually a pop in Litecoin and some of the others. Consequently, trading Litecoin against Bitcoin is way less volatile than trading it against fiat currencies. So the average true range is much smaller, and we can trade a larger position size and catch a much smoother move. To demonstrate what I'm saying, I plotted the LTC USD down here. That's the Litecoin against the US dollar. And I plotted the Litecoin Bitcoin LTC BTC up here at the top. You can see the height of this big move back here in late 2017 in Litecoin Bitcoin increased the value of this by a factor of just a bit over 5. The same move on LTC BTC was about a factor of 2.6. Just so you can make similar comparisons, I've measured from approximately the middle of the consolidations just ahead of the move right here to the top of the spike. Now, another reason that you might want to look at this is the more different charts you look at, the more likely you'll find consolidation patterns that can be traded. Not only should you look at cryptocurrencies traded against each other, but you should look at cryptos traded against fiat currencies as well. We here in the States might have a tendency to look only at the cryptos traded against the US dollar. But you might find some interesting patterns if you look at Bitcoin versus Euro, for instance, or Bitcoin versus the British pound. As you probably have guessed, I look at lots of charts. And I've talked in prior videos about how I find stocks to trade, but I also look at a lot of Forex pairs and a lot of crypto pairs as well. So here's LTC BTC, Litecoin versus Bitcoin, and we've got a really nice descending triangle here that dates back to mid-September. Just to make sure that everyone is up to speed, a descending triangle is a bearish pattern consisting of a strong support level, in this case around 60.90, and it's been tested a few times here and here. Then we want a series of lower highs in the form of this downtrend. I consider drawing the trend line down here, but since the actual location of this line is really not important, I drew it as generously as possible. Remember, perfection is not necessary. As always, I like to see these patterns confirmed by a decline in volume and a decline in volatility. You can see this volume spike happened right here, but the decline continued right afterwards, so that would be an anomaly in my opinion. And as you may know, the volatility is measured by the ATR, or average true range, which in my case is the average length of the last 14 candles. So here's the plan. We will sell a daily close below the descending triangle or below the 60.90 level. And just so you understand, that's 0.006090 bitcoins per Litecoin. On the breaking candle, to enter a full-size position, we want to see the volume bar reach up here to the volume average. If it doesn't quite reach the volume average, if it reaches 75%, I will trade a half-size position to reduce risk. You can calculate the percentage by dividing this volume number right here by this volume average, and you should get at least 0.75. If you don't get that, then stand aside on the trade. The stop loss will be 1.5 times the ATR. First target is 1 times the ATR. So on the breaking candle, you want to look over here at the average true range, multiply that by 1.5, and your stop loss will be 1.5 ATRs above the actual entry here. Your target will then be 1 ATR below the entry. If after entering the trade we get a candle that closes back inside the pattern, we will take the loss right then and not wait for it to hit the stop loss, because our intention is that a breakout from these patterns should be explosive and hit our target fairly quickly. If the momentum goes away, we want to shut the trade down without taking a full stop if possible. When the price hits our first target, we will close half the position for profit and set the stop loss to break even on the remainder. We will then follow stops as price moves in our direction until the market takes us out. Now I do this typically with two positions. The first one has the stop loss and the take profit directly on it. The second position has only the stop loss and no take profit, because that's the position we will allow to run after the first target is hit. I also only risk about 2% of my account on each trade. And remember, cryptocurrencies trade over the weekend, so make sure you watch for trade triggers during that time as well. And that's the setup on Litecoin versus Bitcoin. I tell you this and I tell you this, and I want to make sure that you remember that I'm not trying to tell you what to do here. I'm just telling you how I handle these trades. If you want more details about what I do, look below this video for a link to my trade management video. And if you've got your own trade management plan that works great for you, by all means, continue to use it. Trading is a very personal thing. Things that work for me may not work for you. You have to understand your personal psychology to find the best strategies for your own trading. And that, of course, is, in my opinion, the most important part of trading, psychology. And the trading maxims are my way of helping to handle my personal psychology. And today we're going to look into the archive. A maxim is a general truth, fundamental principle, rule of conduct, or proverbial saying. I get these maxims from everywhere I look. The purpose of my maxims is to motivate me to discipline in trading as well as other areas of my life. I suggest you start your own list of maxims, things that you can say to yourself while you're trading or doing life to make sure you always do the right thing. And feel free to borrow from my list. And today, I think this is a pretty important maxim. Tim's trading maxim number 38. Don't insist on being right. You may as well insist on being broke. As a trader, one of your first responsibilities is to park your ego at the door. I'm going to give you two very important rules regarding that. Rule number 1, the market is always right. And rule number 2, if the market is not right, reread rule number 1. You know, it really doesn't matter what you think, what patterns have formed, what wave you're on, what candle pattern is appearing right now. The market will do its thing without regard for any of those things. If you don't agree with the market, guess who's wrong? To be successful at trading, you have to find a high probability setup, enter the trade, then manage the trade according to what the market gives you. Shut it down if the market doesn't respond as you anticipated, and move on to the next high probability setup. You won't get revenge, and you won't get satisfaction until you understand that you are only right when you agree with the market. Remember our Litecoin versus Bitcoin trade plan here. We're going to sell a daily candle close below the descending triangle or below 60.90. If the volume is not quite average, go half size as long as it's at least 75% of the average. Your stop loss is 1.5 times the ATR, and your first target is 1 times the ATR. And remember to click the link below to the trade management video for more details. And be sure you don't miss any of my great trading picks. Sign up for my free Trading Picks email list. I'll be sending out 3 or 4 trading picks a week, everything from stocks to futures to cryptos to Forex, and you'll get to see them first. And the best thing is, it's free. I'll put the link below this video. Be sure to come back to Trading Strategy Guide's YouTube channel every week on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 3 p.m. U.S. Eastern Time for my new videos. We'll have a nice trade setup or two on each one, and maybe some extra Q&A on Wednesdays. Don't hesitate to ask any questions you may have. I'll either answer your question right in the comments or in a training video, or both. And remember, the only stupid question is the unasked one. And don't forget to comment about what fitness tracker you use. I personally use a Fitbit, but there are a lot of other good ones on the market. Tell your friends about us and help us make this the best trading channel on the internet. As always, thanks for watching, thanks for subscribing, and don't forget to hit the thumbs up below. Have a great week, and I'll see you next time.